How's it going, everybody? Today, I'm very excited to announce my guest. He's a good friend of mine. He's a former 12th round draft pick by the Detroit Tigers, and he's now a current Seattle Mariners pitcher. Will Vest, how we doing today, brother?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Excited to be on the show. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no worries, my man. So first and foremost, we have to represent the hometown a little bit. So tell us a little bit about your hometown of Houston, Texas, and what makes it so special.
Yeah, Houston, Texas. That's grew up in a suburb right outside of it, south of it, Sugarland, and then moved to Missouri City, which is right next to it in high school. Um, but yeah, it's where I grew up. Those are the stomping grounds. It was had a good childhood, a lot of friends. Still keep in contact with a lot of them from there. That's where all my family is now. I'm now in Dallas, Texas, but hoping to get back to H Town as soon as possible.
Yeah, for sure. So you decided to stay at home after high school, play for Stephen F. Austin State. What kind of led up to that decision, and kind of what was your recruiting process like?
Man, all right. So I didn't have the typical recruiting process as everyone else. I wasn't the best kid coming out of high school. I was still honestly developing when I was a senior in high school. So the recruiting process was a little different for me. I instead of schools reaching out to me, I was emailing schools every day. Both of my brothers had played in the Southland Conference, which is what Stephen F. Austin was, and they just or they're going to move next year to the WAC. But so I just started emailing all those schools in that conference, and finally, a couple coaches got back to me, but Johnny over at SFA, he emailed me back and asked me to come up just to kind of take a look at the school and everything. And so I went up, took a look, and he was like, "All right, our next move is we need to come down and see you play." And back in this time, I was playing shortstop, so I actually went to SFA as a shortstop. So he wanted to come see me play. I ended up breaking my foot during a game my senior year, so he couldn't come see me play. Once that got healed up, it was like early July, and school started that August. And I hit him up and said, "Hey, my foot's healed. Can I come up there and do a little workout with you to see if I'm good enough to come up there?" And so I went up there like middle of July, did a little workout with him, and he was just like, "Well, we don't have any money or anything for you, but you can be a preferred walk-on. We'll invite you up, and you can basically come try out for the team, and we'll see how it goes." And so that's what I ended up doing. Went up there and basically tried out for the team during the fall, and I made it and played shortstop my first 2 years, and then switched over to pitcher my last year.
Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, you kind of mentioned it, but your first couple years at Stephen F. Austin, you were a left fielder to shortstop. When did you become a pitcher, and kind of what was that transition and process like?
So my first 2 years, we weren't that good, and I mean, I couldn't really hit that well. But my freshman year, I remember we got clocked with a radar across the diamond, just from third to first, just trying to see how hard we could throw. And it was me and another freshman that threw the hardest. I think he threw like 94, and I threw like 91 across the diamond. So um, I always knew that I could. Well, not always. But that year, I was like, wow, I've got some pretty good arm strength. I did not have that in high school because I finally kind of started working out and everything, putting on some weight. And so I had that in the back of my mind. And our first 2 years, our pitching staff wasn't too great. So finally, my junior year, I was just like, or my sophomore year, I was just like, hey, like, is there any way that I can get up on the bump and try to pitch a little bit? And we had like 2 weeks left in the season. So he was just like, well, you can throw a couple pins. We'll see, about next year. You never know. So I threw a couple bullpens towards the end of the season, and he was just like, all right, like go home this summer. And because you typically in college, you'll play some summer ball and stuff like that. And I was playing for a team during the summer, and he was like, just try to get some innings during summer ball and then come back and we'll see what we can do. So I went home, I threw one inning all summer. I played shortstop the rest. And so I came back in the fall, and I was going to be like a two-way guy. I was going to play shortstop and then come in and pitch towards the end of the game. And that was the plan. And then I ended up tearing my UCL on scout day, actually, in the fall. So a bunch of scouts coming out, we're facing live hitters and stuff. And I think it was the second hitter I faced. I blew out my elbow. So uh, I had to go through Tommy John surgery, and then after that, after talking to my coach, he was just like, "All right, we're not gonna do that again. So you got to pick one. You're either gonna be a shortstop or you're gonna be a pitcher." And he had told me from that scout day that a couple scouts, you know, were intrigued a little bit. They liked what they saw, so he was like, "If I were you, I think you have a path to getting drafted if you choose pitching." So I was like, "All right." So whenever I came back from my surgery, I was just a pitcher only, and then pitched that 1 year and ended up getting drafted in 2017.
Yeah, man, I know you got to miss hitting a little bit though. I mean,
I do. I joke all the time. I tell people, I was like, that fall that I hurt myself, I was starting to figure it out with the bat a little bit, but they're just like, yeah, yeah, sure. So I couldn't really hit too well. I wasn't the best hitter by any means, but I do miss it. It was fun.
yeah, I feel it. So following your college career, you're drafted by the Tigers in the 12th round. What was that experience like? Kind of what were you up to? What were you doing? Were you just tuning into the draft? Were you fishing? What was the scoop?
Dude, it was that was a long day or a long couple days. It it's nerve wracking. So I never really had anybody that close to me that had gotten drafted. I had one family friend that was a little bit older that got drafted, but I didn't know anything. Um, they send you questionnaires and everything. You fill them out, and everyone's a little bit different. You're asked some different questions and stuff like that. And so leading up to the draft, I I got invited to go to a couple like workouts after my college season, and I decided to go to the Rangers one. There was one because it was near my home. Actually, I went to two. There, I got invited to the Tigers one, which was in Florida. I got invited to the Rangers one, which was up in Dallas, and then the Padres, which was actually at their field out there in San Diego. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the San Diego one, and I'm going to go to the Rangers one. And I did pretty well at both of those. And so I had my thoughts of which team I thought that I was going to go to based on who talked to me the most, who showed me the most interest. And to be honest, I thought it was either going to be the Padres, for sure the Red Sox, or maybe the Rangers. And I talked to the Tigers a little bit. But if you would have asked me, hey, let's make a bet. Who do you think is going to pick you? I would have put all my money on the Red Sox because that's who talked to me the most. And so leading up to on the second day, I think it's rounds 3 through 10 on the second day. I got a call like in the fifth from the Red Sox saying, "Hey, we're going to take you in the sixth round." And I was like, "All right, cool. Like, sounds great." And then they ended up taking somebody else. I get a call right after they pick somebody and says, "Hey, sorry, we're taking you next round in the seventh." I was like, "Oh, okay, no worries." I've got all my family there, basically just like my brothers, my sister-in-laws. I think my uncle came in and a couple like close friends. And so we're all sitting there watching the TV and everything. The seventh round comes up, Red Sox come up with their pick, not me. And I had told everybody, I was like, "Hey, I'm getting drafted right here." And so we're all like anticipating it, and then nothing. So I was just like, "Man, you got to be kidding me." So then nothing ended up happening that the second day. I think the Rangers ended up calling me saying there was a chance I may have gone in the 10th, but they actually picked one of my buddies, one of my hometown buddies. But so then I got a bunch of calls right after the draft ended on the second day from like 5 or 6 teams saying, "Hey, we're probably going to take you in like the 11th, 12th round." And I was like, "Okay, sounds good." So they're like, "Be ready for tomorrow. We'll give you calls before," everything like that. So I had like 2 teams that had called me saying, "Hey, we're taking you in the 11th round." And then they come up, nothing. And so by this point, I'm pissed. I'm like, damn, I'm never getting drafted. And so that third day, my whole family wasn't there. Like one of my brothers was at work, and my oldest brother was there. And I'll never forget, I had had enough, and I said, "You know what? I need to get away from this. I'm going back to my room." I think it's actually kind of funny. Me and my brothers, we would always play like games in the house and stuff like that, and we had little ping pong balls and like a mini bat. And so I was going to get that in my room, and I was about to start playing with my brother because I was like, I'm tired of listening to this. I need to get my mind off of it. So I literally go back to my room at the back of the house, and I hear my brother yell, "Holy shit, Will, you're a Detroit Tiger!" And I like kind of turn around like, "What?" And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God. So I ran out there and like saw my name come across the board and everything. So it was a little different, but I think everybody has their draft day story. Some are great, some are okay, and then some are kind of annoying. But by the end of it, I was excited to get the chance to play. So it was definitely a roller coaster couple of days, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know you must have enjoyed playing against those Portland Sea Dogs, all that stuff, man. And then whenever you get up there to Seattle, it's going to be nice playing against those Red Sox a couple times too. So it's
Yeah.
a bit more sweet. So, what was your first game as a professional like, and how big of a transition was like pitching, at the professional level rather than college?
um, well, for me, it was the fans, that's for sure. We didn't really have that many fans at our games. There was a couple that we went to go play, like we would go play bigger schools like TCU, A&M, stuff like that. But it was always midweek, so there really wasn't that many fans. So I remember my first game was against Lowell. It was actually the Red Sox, their affiliate in short season, and I forget I think it was like the eighth inning. I was coming in, and I literally step on the mound and I throw my first like warm up pitch, and it starts pouring rain. And I was just like, "Are you serious? Like I'm about to get delayed right before my first pro outing." And so there's like probably, I don't know, 6 to 8 thousand fans there. They had a lot of people there. So then they call it, or they're just like, "Hey, let's go. I think it's just a quick shower. Let's go sit in the dugout." And so I go sit in the dugout for like 10 minutes, and my heart is bumping out of my chest because I'm so nervous. And I'm just sitting there in the dugout, kind of looking at everybody in the stands. And I was like, holy crap. Like, I've never pitched in front of this amount of people before. But, and then I come to find out, like in pro ball, that's kind of how it is. Like in your warm up pitches, I always have like that, like those butterflies. But then as soon as like the hitter steps in the box, everything kind of goes away. So it went away whenever the hitter stepped in the box. And but yeah, it was a awesome experience, that's for sure.
Yeah, man, and I can't wait to be tuned in whenever you make your MLB debut too. So I'm a Mariners fan, so it's gonna be sweet.
I'm sure it's gonna be on another level of
Oh yeah,
of butterflies, but
as far as fandom goes, maybe they'll give you like a Wednesday morning or something. So who's the best player you've ever played with and the best you've ever played against? I know it's going to be tough picking from that Seawolves roster a couple years ago, but do your best for me.
yeah, I mean, I can kind of take it by, oh man, I don't know, like the best. If I'm gonna say position player, and this is kind of, if any of those Seawolves guys listen to this is gonna be pretty funny, but I'm gonna say one of the best defensive guys I've ever played with is Cole Peterson. That guy, almost every game he was making a play where you were just like, wow, like that was unbelievable. So he's one of the better defensive guys I've ever played with. As far as best, I mean, take your pick from that Seattle. I mean that Seawolves team. I mean, you had 3 first rounders at the beginning before we had all this trade. So I mean, you got Faedo, you got Mize, you got Manning. I mean, those guys are unbelievable. So it's hard to pick. I'll let the analysts do the picking for that. I don't know as far as of who the best, but best one I've ever played against. Oh man. I might have to date this back to college. I don't know, man. There's been some good players. I mean, honestly, probably I would say a team. One of the best teams that had my number was the Pirates. They're Double A Altoona. They had my number every time I went out. I don't know if they knew what pitches I was throwing. I don't know what it was, but I would say I'm just gonna keep it general and say the Altoona curve. They had my number.
Yeah, man, they're a good squad. They always have a good Double A team. I don't know what it is, man, but they always have a good Double A team. So, you've been through all the ranks of the minors, single A, low A, double A, triple A, all that. This offseason, the Seattle Mariners claimed you. What's it like, gearing up for a season where you'll be on the major league roster, and kind of how excited are you to get up there, man?
Dude, I'm pumped. It's kind of bittersweet because I mean the last 4.5 years I've spent with the Tigers, building friendships and um, I still keep in contact with a lot of those guys. So hopefully those friendships will last on. But that part's tough, kind of leaving that. But it's kind of like a breath of fresh air, uh, changing to a new team because it's almost like you get a blank slate. You go in, nobody really knows you, nobody's really seen you play other than some of the analyst or GM or whatever. But as far as players, so it's kind of refreshing to kind of have that. It's almost like, hey, I get to start all over again. So I'm excited about that. That's for sure. Everything that I've heard about the Mariners from some close friends that either have friends in the organization or have been with the organization has been nothing but positive. Um, they don't have enough good things to say about the organization, saying, on the road that they're on with their rebuild, trying to get back to, winning games and competing for the playoffs. So I'm excited to kind of be a part of that.
Yeah, man, I'm excited for you to be a part of that too. So I'm gonna be tuned in. I don't even think I've really ever talked about the Mariners on my podcast before, but I'm like a diehard Mariners fan. I've been through it all, man. Like all the years of false hope, man. But it's okay. You're gonna change it, my man. You're gonna change it. So, I know I asked you before the show, but I'm gonna ask you again. Have you ever been to Seattle? And then kind of I mean, you just kind of mentioned how excited you are to play there, but yeah, man. Have you ever been to Seattle, and how excited are you to like kind of get up to Seattle and spend some time in the city?
So no, I've never been to Seattle. I've been to Washington once. My junior year, we played Washington State. So that's the only time I've been up in that area. Uh, but again, like everything that I hear is like people kind of calling me or texting me and saying, "Man, like Seattle is sick. You need to go up there." One of my good buddies that I played college ball with, he was from that area, so he was like, he kind of same thing. He's like, dude, I've been a diehard Mariners fan, since I can remember. Like, he's like, you're gonna love it up there. The city's awesome. So again, like nothing but good things that I keep hearing from it. So I'm excited to get up there and kind of take it all in.
Yeah, man, you definitely got to hit up the Pike Place Market. They got all the good food. They have all sorts of cool museums and everything. It's actually like a really really beautiful city. Yeah, you'll definitely love it, bro. It's like it's dope. It's dope. I'm not even
Better
gonna.
is it better than Erie, Pennsylvania?
Oh man, come on, come on, man. No snow, man. It just rains a lot. That's about the only thing.
Yeah, that's not here.
You'll get those rain delays for sure. So, one last question for you, Will. Any advice for the young athletes out there chasing their MLB dreams?
Yeah. I mean, it might be cliche, but I've always kind of been like that underdog. And I kind of feed off of that. Like I've almost every step of my career, I've had people tell me like, you're not going to be able to go play Division 1, or once I started pitching, they're like, you're not going to be able to get drafted. So I've always kind of like had that. And so I've always played with kind of like a chip on my shoulder, trying to prove everybody wrong. Uh, but it was always, I had to outwork everybody. It wasn't like I was gifted with this unbelievable talent. Like I had to kind of work to where I'm at. So don't underestimate hard work. Like just get in there, whether it's the gym, whether it's eating, whatever you need to do to get to where you're the best version of yourself. Beat somebody else at it. You're not just competing in between the lines. You're competing in the gym. You're competing at school. You're competing in the kitchen. You're competing in every aspect of it. Beat other people at it. And so I think that's probably the best advice.
Ladies and gentlemen, Will Vest, Seattle Mariners pitcher, former Tigers pitcher, all the good stuff. We're going to be tuned into your journey, my man. I'm excited for you, and thank you for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thank you, man.
No problem.